Good morning, 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 Antigua and Barbuda. Good morning to Guyana. Good morning, London. Good morning, wherever you are in the world. Good morning. It is Monday, January 5. Yes, the 5th of January 2026. It's your girl, Lady Nikki Phoenix, and it is Monday. And every Monday and Wednesday, we have our morning sip. Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? How are you doing? Happy New Year. Like, Happy New Year. This is our very first live sip for January. It's Monday. It's our first live. Share the live, tag a few people, let them know that we have started so we can get our class going this morning. Sippers, come in, sippers. Good morning.
Ever striving, ever seeking, well in love and unity, each and every, all achieving, heal our land. You've graced us with land, sea and beauty. Oh, you fed us from our birth by providing for your children. Oh, from generation to generation, we will lift up our prayer for Antigua, for Barbuda. Lord, we pray for Antigua in the name of Jesus. Lord, we pray for our nation. Please heal our land. Please heal our land. You stood beside us in the midnight hour. Your strong arms held us all together. Now we bless you in Jesus' name, and we pray for you in Jesus' name, the name above every other name.
Proverbs chapter 9. Wisdom had builded her house. She had hewn out her 7 pillars. She had killed her beasts, and she had mingled her wine. She had also furnished her table. She had sent forth her maidens. She cried upon the highest places of the city. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. As for him that wanted understanding, she said to him, Come, eat of my bread, and drink of the wine which I have mingled. Forsake the foolish, and live and go in the way of understanding. He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame, and he that rebuketh a wicked man getteth himself a blot. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. Give instructions to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. For by me thy days shall be multiplied, and the years of thy life shall be increased. If thou be wise, thou shalt be wise for thyself. But if thou scornest, thou alone shalt bear it. A foolish woman is clamorous, she is simple, and knoweth nothing. For she sitteth at the door of her house, on a seat in the highest places of the city, to call passengers who go right on their ways. Whoso is simple, she says, let him turn in hither, And as for him that wanted understanding, she said to him, stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he knoweth not that the dead are there, and that all her guests are in the depths of hell.
Heal our land.
Good morning, sippers, and welcome to our morning sip, Phoenix Free Press edition of our morning sip. It is Monday, it is January 5, 2026. I don't know if I've said 2025 earlier, but January 5, 2026. I say good morning. I say a happy, and blessed new year to every single individual. This morning, we have to come in, we have to deliver, and then we have to just let it simmer. Yeah. The reason why I'm saying that is because we're just 5 days in January 2026, and the news, it has been overwhelming. It has been so much. We have not had enough time, at least I have not had enough time to process all of the news. The breaking news from since about October 2025 regarding the Bronco scandal and the approximate $15 million. The breaking news where I had an interview with the Honorable Sheriff Wilbowen, the deputy political leader of the United Progressive Party. Wait, let me back up. First of all, I should say I'm live on YouTube also. I am live on YouTube, our Free Press 268 page. Let me say that. And for those who are joining for the first time, I should back up and say, hey, welcome to the Morning Sip. If it's your first time, I am Lady Nikki Phoenix. This platform is a free, independent space. It is supported by individuals buying coffee, stars, sending PayPals, supporting in whatever way they can, whether they share the live, leave comments, share the reels, the videos that we post, etc. Independent space so that we can have good, healthy discussion, so that we can bring the facts, so that we can separate the opinion pieces from factual pieces. I spend a lot of time researching and reading to ensure that this platform stays a no bias and no agenda, just a factual space that we can come every Monday and Wednesday and sip on some wisdom. So today is Monday, is the very first day, very first week or work week, I would say. And we're getting into it. You've had a great Christmas. You're here. And even if you didn't have a great Christmas, we're thanking God for 2025. Everything in 2025, we are grateful for. We're in a different space. We've crossed over. So we're going to move forward. So I say all that to say welcome. If it's your first time on the platform, first time joining me, joining the space, be very active in the comments, be very respectful. This is like house rules. Don't be rude, because we're not going to nicely pass over your rudeness, I'm just letting you know. Also, be sure to share articles and screenshots, ensure that they are factual, and ensure the discussion, has an outcome. And the outcome is always to the betterment of Antigua and Barbuda, the lives for the people of Antigua and Barbuda who are living on the ground right now in Antigua and Barbuda. So I want to start our program this morning with our word of the day. And I've taken the scripture this morning while I was doing my devotion, and I took it from Matthew 18, verses 6 to 9, and Luke 3, verses 4 to 11. But I'm going to read Matthew 6 to 9, and I'm going to let you go to your Bibles and continue from 9 to the end, yeah? So Matthew 18, 6 to 9 says, if anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, those are the little ones God is talking about, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble. Such things must come, but woe to the person through whom they come. If your hand or your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be thrown, GT slipped in there, be thrown into eternal fire. 9 says, and if your eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into the fire of hell. What is the understanding of this scripture and why is it relevant to today's discussion? And you see the topic on our live, refugees for visa. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Be sure to tell somebody a Happy New Year. Good morning, Paula. Good morning, Sharma. Good morning to Sharon, and tag a few people, guys, because not everyone is going to get the notification. I don't know what's going on. I still need to fix all that techie stuff. And if you're on YouTube, welcome again. And we got to ensure that you subscribe, even though you're here on the Facebook Live, subscribe to the YouTube page. Why is this scripture relevant? Why is it relevant and relevant to me? Come a little closer. It is relevant and relevant to me because of the place that we are at today in Antigua and Barbuda. And when I say that today in Antigua and Barbuda, Prime Minister Gaston Brown took office in Antigua and Barbuda in 2014. We're in 2025. In 2017, going to 2018, we had an election. January 18th, 2023, we had another election. In January 2023, when we had that election, I think it's either the December, it must have been the December into the January, when we had over 900 of our African brothers and sisters showed up on a flight in Antigua, 3 flights to be exact, in Antigua and Barbuda. There's not been an investigation into that matter. The Prime Minister said that his government was duped 3 times. Those individuals have been reported to travel through many ports and avenues from Antigua because they came into Antigua. And if we walk around Antigua and Barbuda right now, good morning, Linda. If we walk around Antigua and Barbuda right now, I'm sure that we're not going to find or see 50 or 60 of those 900 individuals, approximately, 2025, to pass through. We're not going to see them in the streets, whether St. John's, John Hughes, Point, Villa, any of those areas. Put a pin in that. Then we have the Alfa Nero. The Alfa Nero was seized by the U.S. Prime Minister Gaston Brown and his government went to Parliament and they changed certain laws themselves, and Darwin Telemack, who is the port authority, it was forced down the throats of Antiguans and Barbudans. I, Nikki Phoenix, and this independent platform attended the post-cabinet press briefing from, I think it's about February 2023 to June 2025. June 2025. I didn't stop going because of my own volition, of my own volition. It was strategically done in such a way because for more than a year, it was being said that I'm putting Antigua and Barbuda in a bad light, that I am causing harm because of the questions that I'm asking on the platform and the investigations that we're doing here on Free Press 268. So in June, ABS and Ernemi herself sent out an email saying that the post-cabinet press briefing will be held in person moving forward, and you need to be in a particular building, I guess, wherever in Antigua. show up on Thursdays for the post-cabinet press briefing. From June 2025 to present, there are many things that happen, many situations, incidents. The murder of Khalil Simon, 18 years old, on his birthday in August 2025. There are quite a number of issues and things that happened in Antigua and Barbuda. And to this very moment, there's no documentation, there's no facts, there's no majority of these situations, including this Bronco scandal. It's just the Prime Minister's words. When the visa restriction became into effect in January, and Sir Ambassador Ron Saunders had to have a meeting on behalf of Antigua and Barbuda to sort it out, that came from the Prime Minister and a video presentation from Sir Ron Saunders. The Bronco scandal, every single update, there's nothing that any Antiguan and Barbudan, and including myself as an investigative journalist, and many other media houses and Observer Radio, Real News, I don't know if Point is interested in getting the information, Crusader Radio. There's no document that Antiguans and Barbudans can point to and say, this is it. On the 3rd of January, I'm sitting on my laptop, 3rd of January, 2026. I'm sitting on a laptop. I'm 4 hours ahead of Antigua. And I see Fox News posted 9 minutes ago that President Nicolas Maduro was captured, kidnapped, arrested, taken from his home, him and his wife. Do you know how significant it is for the Caribbean region and for Antigua and Barbuda? I will say, going forward, I will not rely on anything coming out of Prime Minister Gaston Brown's mouth unless he says it and he shows a paper trail to go with it. You see, last year coming down to the end when I said I would like to do a vote of no confidence, and I put it on my platform, I wasn't asking for individuals to agree with me. That's the position where I stood. And I said that, and I did that video. I put it out, and a day or two after, the information came forward about a visa restriction effective January 2026. Saturday, the Prime Minister on his radio station announced that Antigua and Barbuda signed an agreement with the United States to accept refugees from the United States. These refugees will not be Antiguans and Barbudans. These are refugees who will be coming from there. They will not be going back to their birth country, either they were refused from their birth, the country of birth, or they're just in a batch, or however that's going to go. Don't worry, we're going to get into the details. I'm going to give you all the facts. That's why you're here. The Prime Minister said that he has written to the Donald Trump, to the President of the United States, and to the White House, and he has stated that they will only take minor offenses and 10 individuals or 10 deportees. Again, nothing. Let me do it like how the British say it, babies. Nothing. Again, nothing coming out of Prime Minister Gaston Brown's mouth. I, Nikki Phoenix, or this platform will go after, or will agree with, or will say, this is truth. Show a paper trail. And this is my call to action to every single Antiguan and Barbudan going forward. Show a paper trail. In June 2025, the Prime Minister, we can play that video again, he said the visa restriction. The Washington Post did an article and said that Antigua and Barbuda was on the list for a visa restriction. Prime Minister Gaston Brown boastfully, vibrantly, what's the word? Vivaciously said that will never happen. We are too skilled and we are too diplomatic for that to happen. Again, paper trail. 6 months down the line, as of today, there's a visa restriction on the Antigua and Barbuda passports. Now again, Prime Minister Gaston Brown says a minimum of 90 to 180 days for the restrictions, or they're working towards for those restrictions to be removed. Again, sir, paper trail, because in Antigua dialect, I don't believe nothing coming out of your mouth. Because you have not shown any consistency. You have not shown Prime Minister Gaston Brown anything other than giving the people a cause for concern and a cause to worry. Antigua and Barbuda, employment, underemployed, healthcare issue or healthcare under pressure, real pressure. Every aspect of Antigua and Barbuda is under pressure. And the Prime Minister signs an agreement with the United States, to accept refugees. And he's trying to appease the people of Antigua and Barbuda and tell us it's only 10. Like how he said with his boldness and his old chest, that will never happen. What is Antigua and Barbudans living in right now? For every single Antiguan and Barbudan that holds a passport right now, that statement of that will never happen, we are sitting in it happening. The Alfanera situation, how they forced it down our throats, how they went to Parliament, how the government chief of staff said to me, because I can pull up back that clip, we're the government, we decide. So the government decided to push, create hole and space where there might be none, to get the Alfanero. And the Alfanero has placed the Prime Minister and his wife and maybe 12 other individuals or other entities, all included, in the courts in the United States. Antigua and Barbuda. Name is there. It's a real document. Like this document of Maduro's indictment, it's a real document. A very real document. So we're at a point where you're going to go back to that scripture. The scripture I read. If your hand and foot affecting you, cut it off. What do you rather? Which do we prefer? Because we didn't participate. We've been calling out as a people. The people been calling out. The people been asking for documentation. The people been asking for numbers. The people been asking for press conferences and accountability and real transparency. Did you watch the interview with the UPP deputy political leader Sheriff Iburen? Did you watch the videos on my platform of the amount of monies spent? Unauthorized spending of millions in 2020 when there is COVID, and 2021 and 2022 and 2023 and 2024. What else we don't know? You see, wisdom is the principal thing. And at some point, with all of this happening, let me take you to this. Today, we need to understand, because to understand what is happening in Antigua and Barbuda, I can't start in St. John's. I want us to do, I ain't gonna tell you, you can depend on me and I can depend on the Most High God to give us guidance in this. You know where we must start? Let's start in Venezuela. Venezuela is not just a country in crisis. It is a geopolitical fault line. When Venezuela's oil exports stall, as in, hold up, when its political order fractures, yes, I use ChatGPT to tell my whole thing, how I want it, all my articles, everything, so I can bring it to the people, because we're not going to just go from Facebook scripts and screenshots and little sound bites. We're not there. We're not there. Yeah. So when the oil stops, the export, when Venezuela stops exporting oil, and the political orders of the infrastructure, when that just put an unseal, especially with this indictment in the US courts, it's a whole shockwave through borders. What happened in Venezuela is not just happening in Venezuela. When the Prime Minister made a statement, and I want to find the statement so I can quote him correctly, this has direct implications, like direct implications for Antigua and Barbuda. In recent days, when I was researching, I saw on Facebook that somebody asked a question: what is going to happen to the Petro-Carib program, or the PDV program in Antigua and Barbuda? Again, that program depends on the whole exportation of the oil and the whole transaction between the regions. We're looking at instability. I'm not here to bring fear, but we're looking at instability. So the question is to ask, where was Prime Minister Gaston Brown's focus? What has been his focus since 2014, and then 2018, and then 2023? What has been Prime Minister Gaston Brown's focus for Antigua and Barbuda? We sell our passports, and our island is known for tourism. Now, the passports are tarnished, visa restriction, and the visa restriction is going to have, again, a direct effect on our tourism. Because everything that's happening geopolitically, everything that's happening, there are various countries putting their visa restrictions, various countries. There is nothing that Prime Minister Gaston Brown can come to the public and say without a paper trail. Like, without a paper trail. I watched a Sky News report, and I'm going to play it for you, and then I'm going to share with you a major aspect that the Sky News reporter missed. But I'm grateful because I'm a born Guyanese and in the Caribbean. Let me share it with you. Hold on. This is important.
Donald Trump is insisting that the main reason he's interested in Venezuela, the main reason the US is kind of looking at tankers off the coast of Venezuela, comes back to drugs, the trade, the smuggling of illegal drugs out of Venezuela. But what if it's not just that? Maybe there's something else going on. What if it's partly about oil? Now, on the surface, you might be thinking, why does America even need Venezuelan oil? And I can kind of understand your point, because if you look at just total oil production, look, this is up until 2005, the US was there, Venezuela was there, Saudi Arabia was there. But as you probably know, since then, everything has changed. Look, American output has gone through the roof, way above Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela has gone basically to the floor, and that's kind of post-Chavez, Maduro. They're one of the minnows now, and I think 21st biggest producer in the world. So again, that question, why should America care? Well, in the US, that big rise is largely down to this. It's down to the shale revolution. So you've got fracking all around the US producing extraordinary amounts of crude oil. And here's where we get to the interesting bit. Because when you're thinking about crude oil, maybe you're just thinking about, well, look, barrels of oil. It's all the same, isn't it? Well, actually, no. So if you kind of look at crude oil, there are various different types of crude in different parts of the world. There's actually kind of various different ways you can categorize it. But one way you can look at it is look at the kind of density. So you're basically looking at how thick that crude is. And when I say thick, I mean literally how thick. This is showing you global production broken down by the density of that oil. And so you've got the kind of medium stuff. And this is probably, if you've got kind of image in your mind of what crude oil looks like, it's a bit like this, you know, it's kind of black, but it's not too viscous, it flows around. But there's other stuff as well. So this is light crude. And it kind of almost looks like a smoothie, doesn't it? And that's the same stuff. This is still crude oil, but down to the kind of geological and the biological conditions in the ground when it was being formed, you know, hundreds of millions of years ago, it comes out looking a bit different. And so that's light. You've also got heavy stuff. And it's kind of relatively small in global production. But this is gloopy, super viscous stuff. Heavy oil. So heavy, medium, light. Remember that. And remember also, the key thing here is, you get it out of the ground, it may look like that, but ultimately, you still need it to go into, you know, someone's car, or indeed, you know, be turned into chemicals. Basically, you need to process it. And that processing, that happens in places like this, in refineries. And there are refineries all over the world, of course. There are refineries all over the US as well. There's kind of more than 100 of them. And if we kind of look at where those refineries are, well, so there's some in California. So the history in America, actually, historically, a lot of the early Californian oil, that was the heavy, gloopy stuff. And if you look at kind of some of the refineries in America, so here are some of the refineries. There's one in LA there. These are the 10 biggest. You've got some up here around kind of towards Canada. We'll kind of come to that in a second. But a lot of them are down there, kind of Texas, Louisiana, on the coast. And here's the critical thing. These refineries are primarily set up for heavy oil, for taking that gloopy stuff and turning it into gasoline and all of the other different products. But here's where things get interesting. And remember that chart I showed you a moment ago, the one which showed kind of shale oil and how it kind of went through the roof? The oil that's generally produced with shale oil, the fracking oil, that comes out of the ground mostly in the light form. So it's the smoothie. It's sometimes actually even clear. It comes out of the ground clear rather than black. And that's the majority of American production right now. Shale oil tends to be light stuff. And actually that's kind of going back 10 years. Look at where we are now. Look at those bars. In the last few years, the amount of light oil being produced in the US has gone up and up and up, and the amount of kind of heavy stuff has gone down. But back to those refineries. They need to be fed. If America's going to have gasoline, it needs to feed those refineries with heavy oil. So if you look at the kind of imports coming into America, in recent years, even though America is producing so much oil, more oil than it ever produced before, it still needs to suck in loads of oil from overseas. And the type of oil we're talking about, it used to be, it's mostly heavy crude. It used to be only 12%. So only 12% of imports were heavy, gloopy crude. Now, it's about 70%. So 70% of the oil coming into America, which it needs to basically keep its economy going, is heavy crude. And where does heavy crude come from? Well, here are some of the big countries where you find most of it. It's Canada and Venezuela. There's one other I'll come to in a second, which we'll come back to. But it's Canada and it's Venezuela where you get most of this heavy crude oil, which is why, about to think about where those refineries are, they're mostly set up, kind of, you've got some in the north there to get the heavy oil coming out of Canada, and you've got some around the kind of Louisiana and elsewhere, and Texas, to get that heavy oil that comes in from Venezuela. That was kind of the way they were set up. And it's really expensive to rebuild these things. You can't just chuck out a refinery very easily overnight. Some came from Mexico and the Gulf of Mexico as well, and that was pretty heavy too. So that's the picture in America. And the upshot is, even though America is producing more and more oil, the imports, this is showing you imports of oil into America, are still really high. And if you break down those imports by the country that stuff is coming from, well, there's Venezuela. And it used to be a decent slug, actually more coming from Venezuela just about than from Canada, just at the turn of the millennium. But now look at what's happened since. Right now, Canada has gone from 15% of all of the US imports of oil to 61%. 61%. And Venezuela is basically next to nothing. But here's what's tantalizing, and here's the reason I think that a lot of people are looking towards Venezuela and thinking, well, there's more to this than just drugs. Look at total oil reserves around the world. The higher these bars are, the more oil there is in the ground, so that hasn't yet been taken out of the ground. So there you've got Saudi, Iran, Iraq, all of the usual suspects. But the biggest of all, and this is according to various different sources, the biggest of all is Venezuela. And what's that oil? It's the heavy, tarry stuff that you might well want to put into those American refineries. And there is really only one other place in the world that has a kind of serious amount of heavy oil other than Canada and Venezuela. And lo and behold, guess where that is? It's Russia. All of which is to say, you know, it matters what kind of oil America needs. It's worth just delving into these kind of nuances because that helps you understand a little bit more about the backstory of geopolitics.
I hope that helped everyone a little bit because it really did help myself also. But I want us to understand something which is very vital. That's why I played the video regarding the oil, regarding the importance of it. Over the years, the Prime Minister, I saw an article here in the Antigua newsroom where to some extent the Prime Minister is distancing himself or the Antigua and Barbuda government or his government from financial relations. I have to go back to that article. If somebody in the class have it, put it in the chat so we can read it to verify it. But he's basically trying to, the article or what his statement is basically trying to say, let's paraphrase, we're not that close. It's not really my buddy. We're not that kind of friends. We don't know each other like that. Putting it plain instead of using all them Egypt. We don't know each other like that. We're not cool friends like that. Are we not? We should go back over the years. Should we recover or recollect over the years the relationship that Venezuela and Antigua and Barbuda has carried? Also, the relationship between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela, it practically broke when President Kamala Prasad, I always say Kamala Harris, Kamala Prasad basically began working to some extent with regards to her agreement and having U.S. military in Trinidad and Tobago, and all of that basically spilled over, and Maduro cut ties, as in producing oil to Venezuela, the agreement or the trade agreement that they severed that trade agreement. Now, the president and the White House itself, the United States, went and they removed President Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela. The president, as in President Donald Trump, has said that the U.S., as in USA, will run Venezuela. He also says that the opposition is not recognized or strong enough. They don't kind of carry much strength. And the vice president who took up under Maduro's regime, she's also not being recognized by Donald Trump. And she's basically giving a pushback with regards to her administration. And she says, although that President Maduro is arrested, he is still the president of Venezuela. Again, in this particular situation, I'm not speaking when I speak of Venezuela from outside or just a reporting. In 2019, I went to Venezuela. In 2019, I went to Venezuela on a communications program for journalists, and I was able to interact with Venezuelans. I was able to go to various homes. I'm not going to call some of the names of the people that I met. Just the other day, I was looking at videos of some of the young children that was teaching me Spanish, and within the 7 to 10 days I was there, I really learned Spanish. But everything that is happening today, the news have been, cueing or signaling to something or to a state like this, and to see now that we are here, January 5, 2026 in Venezuela, Antigua and Barbuda, and I didn't mention Guyana because Guyana, remember, if you haven't been following the news for months, for over a year or more, President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela was pushing to conquer or basically take over the Essequibo region in Guyana. Guyana has recently found oil. There is like approximately 9,000 barrels of oil being distributed or shipped from Guyana at the moment. So the economy is booming.
But when I said I played the Sky News video from the reporter from Sky News for you to see, he mentions Russia, he mentions Venezuela, he mentions Canada, but he did not mention Guyana, because Guyana is still there and Guyana is rising. In my research, it didn't say that Guyana carries the same heavy crude oil like Venezuela carries, but Guyana carries a medium to light oil, and every aspect of the oil is important. But if you haven't been following the news again, the United States has somewhat positioned themselves in Guyana also. They actually positioned themselves even before removing Maduro, because of the friction and the tension between Venezuela and Guyana. The United States stepped in and said that they would be of support. They would provide military training and everything that Guyana needs. So around everything, you have Venezuela, you have Guyana, you have Brazil, because the president of Brazil basically, you know, called out against what Donald Trump did. Russia called out saying to release President Nicolas Maduro. China has said release President Nicolas Maduro. Antigua and Barbuda, we are not outside of any of this. We are not far from any of this. My people, sadly, we're very close, like this, very, very, very well close, and wrapped up in everything that's unfolding. And the reason why I say that, our Prime Minister says that he's a friend of all and an enemy of none. This has been Prime Minister Gaston Brown's mantra. He is a friend of all and an enemy of none. In 2025, Prime Minister Gaston Brown signed over 10 MOUs with China. 10 MOUs. If you need them, I can send you them. When we requested for them and we asked for them, because I asked for them on the platform, in the press briefing, and they were sent to us. Many of the MOUs were not as detailed and given the outline. There was an MOU for the media. There was an MOU for roads. There were 10 MOUs signed with China. There are many things that have been happening that we are not knowing about, we're not hearing about. The Prime Minister said, with regards to this refugee acceptance agreement with the United States, he says that it was an agreement that they wrote back to the United States about 90 days ago. All right. So the notice or information came before the 90 days if you wrote back 90 days ago. Also, we've had Parliament, we've had Cabinet. And if the Prime Minister is saying that it was supposed to be a secret, why was it a secret? Why is this agreement a secret? And if this agreement is a secret and the Prime Minister, who should be representing the people of Antigua and Barbuda, agrees to this being a secret, what is the benefit to Prime Minister Gaston Brown? Because it being a secret is no benefit to Antiguans and Barbudans, is it? Anything that's going to put the nation at risk, anything that leaves the nation vulnerable, whether it's security, whether it's housing, whether it's food, whether it's employment, anything at all that puts Antigua and Barbuda at risk, why would the head of state, the Prime Minister, agree secretly? And now the next question would be, why does he feel to tell us now, 90 days later, what's coming? And how soon are these individuals arriving? And I have many more questions. But I trust that you guys are being informed. I didn't want to bring a program this morning that patterns all the news that is everywhere, because it's a lot of news everywhere. And everything or anything that you're not hearing here, read for yourself and validate, ensure it is factual. This AI thing is out there now, and I don't even want to do a flyer in AI because I can see that that is fake. I can see the flyer that just doesn't look, you know? So although I use ChatGPT, you use ChatGPT with wisdom. You don't ask ChatGPT to do the work. You do the work and then have the work polished and elevated. And it is important that we are more informed, reading the news, not being informed by Prime Minister Gaston Brown or his Facebook page. not being informed by Prime Minister Gaston Brown or his radio station, because since 2017, the Prime Minister has been on a mission, a media mission, to control the narrative in Antigua and Barbuda. Have you noticed? From 2017 to 2025, we have been under a media manipulation. Okay.
Mr. Brown walking down the street, lion heart, his wisdom is deep. Love for him, brethren, roots run neat. From Parliament Street to Parliament Seat, chanting truth like a Rasta king. Babylon shake when him do him thing. Antiguan star, words so bright, fighting for justice, peace and right. Gassy dread, standing tall, never bow. Flames in his soldier, guide him now. From the ghetto to the mountainside, truth and love be him guide. Early rise, he hear Jah call, spreading love where shadows fall, building bridges, breaking wall. One world, one love, we give it all. Chains can't bind, bribe can't sway. Tread walk bold in righteous way. Each step truth, no need for lies. You see the fire burning in him eyes. Son of the side, with a seed he sow. In Babylon dirt, still roots grow. Chanting loud in every street. Barefoot march, no retreat. Gassy J, standing tall, never bow. Flames in his soldier, guide him now. From the ghetto to the mountainside, truth and love be him.
You see why I said I would never take nothing out of the man's mouth? I play his tune, but he said never bow. That is what he said. He said he never bowed. The Rasta man never bow. How did the Rasta man send away the Cuban doctors by force? Months before, he sent away, like, severed the agreement. That's bowing. That's a big bend over. That's a big bend over, ain't it? So that's a bow right there. That's a bend over. Next bend over, you, Prime Minister Gaston Brown, the gassy dread, yeah? Flame in your heart and something in your head. Just stay focused, Nikki. Yeah? Never bow. But you sign on to agreement where they have other countries say, no, nada, not ya. They are countries, they are leaders, they are presidents, prime ministers who stood up and said, no, thank you. We don't want deportees. We don't want, I saw Veerbird said we were running a citizen by investment program, but now with these deportees, we are running a citizen by deportation program. Prime Minister Gaston Brown, you said 10 deportees is gonna come. 1 is too much. 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. And you have no control over that. You don't have any control over anything because there's something deeper. My investigative spirit and my smells something deeper. There is more in the matter or more in the pestle. How does it a thing? The matter in the pestle, there is more. Exactly, Sherman. Their own country, no want them. Their own countries refuse them. So Antigua is a dumping ground. Antigua is a garbage dump. Is that what the Prime Minister think about us? So then hold on. When the Prime Minister gets out of office, whether he is removed, whether there's a situation where some Helicopters just show up. I don't know, because you know what? It happened with Maduro at January 3rd. Nobody expects it's big news. Boom. Oh my gosh, that just happened. You know? Where did they just show up? Where did they happen to drive up in a Bronco and they just start sweeping up and posting pictures with shackles and dark glasses? What happens to the people of Antigua and Barbuda? Like, seriously, what happened to the people of Antigua and Barbuda? Because every single agreement signed, you come after and say you sign it. This particular agreement, you said it is after. You said 90 days ago. And you knew this 90 days ago. And you still come and give a budget 90 days ago. You know that in January 2026, the people of Antigua and Barbuda, they're going to be facing a visa restriction. They're going to be facing, and trust me, let's back up. Real News reported that my boy Gregory Georges, oh Lord, don't let me say my boy, but I know he like that. I met him once or twice. Oh Lord. Gregory Georges, CEO of WEOC, West Indies Oil Company. Real News reported that West Indies Oil Company CEO, I don't think they had called his name, but they said that he was arrested, the laptop was taken, and he was questioned. What kind of questions they ask him? Prime Minister Gaston Brown, you say how you read the article on Real News. Again, nothing come out your mouth anybody's going to believe. Nothing, nada, nothing. So you said that you called him. The Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, whose wife sits on the board of West Indies Oil Company, and West Indies Oil Company has been carrying, according to the reports, such grave report. And when the Prime Minister is reporting on the success of this economic powerhouse that he's been running, without the people feeling the power, whether the power through the pipe with the water, not even that. But the economic powerhouse, the numbers been turning. West Indies Oil been just licking it. The boss been whirling, bossing up. We in January 5. And I sit down, I took a piece of paper. I'm going to show you. I took a piece of paper. And I said to myself, Nikki, how are you going to explain to the people what a guan and how we for pay attention to all what a guan? And I did like a little, for the class. So the USA up here, and then Venezuela here, and then we have Guyana, Antigua, Trinidad and Tobago. Remember I showed you that video with China and that video with Russia. Now let me tell you something. The indictment, and I want to make a factual correction here for this platform especially. Across all media platforms, I have been seeing that they said that Caribbean politicians involved. And I did my research and I went through the document. And we have to say, I have to say for this platform, for factual importante, no names in this indictment for President Nicolas Maduro. No names of any politician was mentioned. The statement basically says politicians along the Caribbean route. So politicians along the Caribbean route. You see, I just showed you. I just show you. I forget to put in like all the other, we forget St. Vincent and the Grenadines and all the little, yes? So the question we want to pose, because I'm not going to say a particular politician was mentioned. I see that people have been sending me stuff with the Prime Minister Gaston Brown on a flyer, and Prime Minister Skerritt, I think, on a flyer, and former Prime Minister Keith Rowley is his name, on a flyer. I didn't see anything in the indictment on that. And I did research and I did my pulling up and my Google and my everything. I didn't see any name. I saw in the document, and if you want to read the document for yourself, if you don't have it, I can send it to you. And you can check page 9, I think it is. Page 9 on the document, thereabout, or page 19. So I wanted to. Now I'm going to check it in a minute and tell you. But it did not say a particular politician. It says along the Caribbean route. In this document, also, the indictment basically spoke about same Caribbean route and these individuals being paid off so that they can pass through. The other thing that was mentioned that connects a PDV in this indictment is I want to bring up the name of the, hold on, let me bring it up. There is a PDV Falcon 900 mentioned in the indictment. And the indictment makes reference to the PDVSA, as in the Petro-Carib. And again, it's just allegations, but there's no Caribbean politician name in this indictment. Let me see what else I need to share before I say why I showed you that little diagram that I was doing and how I was going to bring the information. Now, I have another part I need to share with the public, because with regards to this, the third country agreement, the refugees and being accepted, I wanted to find an actual agreement because there's no documentation. Again, the Prime Minister needs to release the documentation, and we'll state here why it needs to be released, because we need to know a lot on what the expectations are, what the agreement was, what support the United States is going to provide to Antigua and Barbuda on the agreement paper, because there's no guarantee. They can put it on the paper and still not follow through on it. The burden that is going to come upon Antiguans and Barbudans and the entire economy already, because the burden is already there. So I did this to say that this indictment is in. I want you guys to read it and to go through it. This year is a year for us to be more informed, and this year is for us to read long form articles. Tell me you understand what long form articles is or are. We're not going to read 2 or 3 lines. Long form articles, these same documents that I have to go through, like 25 pages and 13 pages, and so we're going to read them and we're going to dissect them and we're going to understand. It is vital, especially in this season, and especially for the next few months. It is vital because you are going to be the individual to save yourself. Did I say that? You are going to be the individual to save yourself, because knowledge is power. But the greatest is understanding, and we have to understand. So let me tell you where my understanding came about with regards to this when I did this little map. So we have the USA, we have Venezuela, and then we have all these little pockets. Now, if you're thinking in a war and in the art of war and in any kind of fight, any kind of domination, I'm going to ask you, which part of the body would you attack first? Come on, class. In the art of war, where do you go? When you're in a real strong fight, do you go for the hands first, or the feet, the stomach? Real warriors, like David. When David wanted to take out Goliath, exactly, James, moved to the head of the class. When David wanted to take out Goliath, David used one stone in his slingshot, straight to the Goliath's head, one shot. It was a headshot. Do you, my class, understand where I'm coming from? They say if the head ain't good, the body can't pass. So do you know what I mean and understand when I mean the head? So on the third, it represents the head. As in, when I say it, Venezuela represents the head. And I showed you that video regarding oil. I showed you the video regarding oil. But the indictment speaks strongly about narcotics and guns and trafficking. And it spoke strongly about monies and passing and routes and different places and who have been supported financially. So, if you take out the head, everything else crumbles. Every other aspect crumbles. So I don't know what is in President Donald Trump's head. I don't know. We don't know. We don't understand the greater geopolitical scenarios that are going on. But Antigua is right there. Yeah? Guyana, Venezuela, Trinidad. Antigua is right here. And what use is Antigua to the United States right now? In comparison to Guyana and in comparison to Trinidad and Tobago, what use is Antigua? Prime Minister Gaston Brown and his clans, people, ministers. What use to President Donald Trump? Not much, innit? 100,000 people. We don't have any space for any kind of infrastructure. So if there's anything that needs to be built on a massive scale, if there's anything that needs to be done, orchestrated, because remember, to move the oil from Venezuela all the way up to the refineries in the USA, where they have those major refineries. Remember the heavy crude, that's what Venezuela carries. If we're focusing on the oil, let's focus on the oil part. That's going to be like a lot of infrastructure. Who do you think in the Caribbean basin, in the Caribbean region, can benefit from that? I'm going to just use my pen and show you the initials. From my understanding, don't come and tell, you can share yours, but from my understanding, this, two of this, put a and in the middle, two of this. Huh? And then there is Guyana. And Guyana is rich in minerals, bauxite, coal, diamond. Now we found oil. And there are parts of Guyana that is untapped, untouched, greenery beyond greenery, as in goodness beyond goodness, untouched. We need to extend our mind and our understanding. I would ask everyone to reject anything coming out of Prime Minister Gaston Brown's mouth, unless there's a paper trail. I will stand by that. I will stand by that. Because I'm going to take you back to when Ron Saunders came to the public and he did a 5, 7 minute, 6 minute presentation regarding the visa restrictions. In that meeting, what did they agree on? In that quick, short meeting to give that to the public, what did they agree on in that meeting? In this agreement, and class, I'm going to take you to the agreement and I'm going to share with you a country that signed on to the agreement. I'm going to tell you how much they receive for the agreement and we're going to break it down, my darlings. That's why we are here, class. That's why we are here. Morning sip, Monday and Wednesday. Huh? Come on, class. Yeah? We're going to read more and we're going to research. And we're going to reject ignorance and foolishness. We will reject the lies and the manipulations. We're going to reject everything that does not bring fruitfulness in our life, because none of this kind of leadership from Prime Minister Gaston Brown has brought fruitfulness to the lives of Antiguans and Barbudans. At this point, where Venezuela, practically like the head was taken off, clean, and all the pockets and the agreements connected to Venezuela. You think Antigua is not going to be affected? The entanglements of our Prime Minister Gaston Brown. You think Antigua is not going to be affected? But is the small man in Antigua and Barbuda will be affected? Is the small man going to feel the squeeze in the supermarket, on the electricity bills, when you go to the gas pump, when there's no water coming through the pipes? Oh, wait, since 2014, no water really been coming through the pipe. But no, it's going to slow up even more now. So what do we do? I want to tell you, when I was preparing for this program since about Saturday, and I'm reading all these news and these articles, I was so emotional, like in tears emotional. Tears emotional as I read article after article, because it's personal to me. It's home. Guyana is where I was born. I went to school, primary school and high school in Guyana. Antigua is my home and my adult life. I got married there, gave birth to 2 children in Antigua, gave birth to my non-profit organization, Women of Esteem, work on the radio. Antigua is my home. Venezuela, I've visited, have friends, been connecting with my friends, still connected with my friends. This is personal to us. So what will we do in Antigua and Barbuda? Become self-sufficient. Again, become self-sufficient. And how do we do that? Because the nation been calling for that for a while. The nation been talking about having our own homegrown food instead of importing, because we do more imports than exports. This has been the discussion for months, for years. And we're at a point now where we need to decide. At a point where we have to decide for our own survival. And for those on this platform, I'm going to say, start doing your backyard gardening. Start planting your 2 onion and shallot and the basic things that you cook in the garden, the basic things that, cook in your pot, the basic ingredients that you can get until you have the sunlight. You have organic food. You have the best food there. You don't even know it. I go to the supermarket here, I go to Waitrose, or if we go even into Oxford, London, the shops, like the healthcare shops, are packed and very expensive. We can grow papaya in Antigua, even Guyana, and in Antigua, and it's sweet now. Ginger, sweet. Onion, garlic, tomatoes, sweet. Become self-sufficient for yourself. Now, let's go to this refugee agreement, because I want to share some stuff here with you. Come on. You know what? I need to play a little bit of Prime Minister Gaston Brown, because we need to hear what he said on Saturday. I made some notes here of some points that he was making that I think is quite important for us to listen. And those who didn't hear him. 1 second.
Shall I blaze gasoline? Never bow to power or greed.
You heard that? Never bow to power or creed, but yet still you send away the Cubans. You have a visa ban on the Antigua and Barbuda passport. Your knees must be buckling right now and knocking together like... I think that is why you give such a response to that person, 7. Is it Wiley 7? When he said something about the finger and the whatever. My goodness. What a thing.
Comrade Donna Shire will agree with me. This is a time where we need to have that togetherness going forward, based on what we're seeing. Recently, Prime Minister, we heard about the U.S. proclamation. I want us to begin there, talk about that a little bit, because recently our government, your government, had to move to protect citizens amid new U.S. visa restrictions. And you came out and you assured our citizens and residents that the government of Antigua and Barbuda is taking swift and constructive action following the recent U.S. decisions restricting the issuance of new visas to nationals of Antigua and Barbuda. I want us to get into this part of it, the discussion, because I want you to also look at allaying fears, because I noticed the opposition that they have been trying to label this on you because of their misconceptions. Based on
misconception or disinformation.
Disinformation and misinformation and misconceptions.
No missing it. Deliberate.
Deliberate. Yes. But in my opinion, Prime Minister, I think our people need to understand fully what it is that is happening. And as I said to Senator Newton yesterday, I think they're doing more than anything else but just amplifying fear. So I want you to touch on the issues relating to that.
Well, I would have captured the importance for us to unify as a nation, especially when it comes to external threats. Again, we have our internal political division and divisiveness. That will not cease, and I understand that. Mm-hmm. But there has to be some level of loyalty to country, and for us to understand that tearing down the country doesn't serve anyone's interests. So for several months, the UPP, they have been colluding with foreign entities to undermine our country. You would be aware that just over a year ago, maybe 18 months ago, we sold this Russian boat, the Alfa Nero. And we did so in partnership with the United States, because the vessel was a sanctioned vessel. And in order to sell it, the United States had to partner with us. They had to agree to remove the sanctions. So they helped us by removing the sanctions, and we sold the vessel. And all $40 million were paid into the government's treasury. We went in public television. We provided all of the evidence. We have filed the evidence in the Parliament of Antigua and Barbuda, so the opposition members have all the documentation, including copies of the transfers to show that every single cent was accounted for. However, they fabricated this story, among others. They came up with 29 different cases of corruption against me, all fabrications. So they had Odebrecht, they had Alfa Nero. They said that I was in business with the president of Venezuela, me and my family members, that we were trading in illegal oil and illegal gold coming out of Venezuela. And they got in collusion with this guy, DeLuca, from Boies Schiller, a U.S. law firm. Powerful U.S. law firm, I must admit. They decided to take me to court in the U.S. to get a disclosure on all my financial transactions that went to the U.S. They also included my family members, include my wife, my son, all our associated companies, even friends of mine who they believe are important and influential people. They took to court. They took West Indies, our company, as well, to court to ask for disclosure because they felt pretty sure that we must have been involved in some form of sanction busting, especially West Indies, our company, in which the government of Venezuela owns 25% of the shares. Now, the 25% of the shares in West Indies, our company, those shares were sold to Venezuela when there were no sanctions. That was back in about 2015 when we acquired West Indies, our company. And even the previous administration had approached Venezuela to buy shares in it anyway. So Venezuela, under normal circumstances, would have been a good business partner in the sense that they're an oil-producing country. And that could have helped us to do more storage and more bunkering and so on here. So that is why we thought it was important at the time to include them. However, after the U.S. sanctioned Venezuela a couple of years thereafter, we made sure that there was no violation. Not even a dividend payment has been made to Venezuela since the sanctions have been actually enacted. So there has been absolutely no violation whatsoever. I don't have any family members who are trading directly or indirectly with Venezuela in gold, oil, in nothing. Totally untrue. So this dude, Martin DeLuca, one of the attorneys in the U.S. law firm, went on his X page and defamed me said all manner of evil about me. And again, he was following the information he got from members of the UPP. In fact, the investigative report that was done by an individual on behalf of the Russian lady who claims that she's a beneficiary of the boat, that entity, that person said that they got information from members of the opposition. So they thought at the time that by fabricating these stories, that it would have formed the basis of legal action against me, and it did. But I think somewhere in their warped minds, they probably believe that after 11 years in government, that there must be at least one bad transaction involving me and family members. What they don't recognize is the extent of my discipline. I have determined from the time I was a youngster that I'm not stealing anything, I'm not doing anything illegal, and I'm not going to do anything that is morally grotesque. Those are two simple values that I have adopted as a youth right into my adulthood. If someone said to you that I invested in a project and I made some money, it's probable. Even if it may not be true, it's probable. If they say to you that Gaston Brown stole anything from anybody, much as the governor people of Antigua and Barbuda, take that with a grain of salt. Anyway, the reality is they got the decision of the judge for disclosure, and they went to the U.S. clearinghouse and to the SWIFT system and got all the transactions involving me and other family members. In fact, even Darwin Telemac was also included too. I think he had one transaction for $5,000. So there's no evidence that Darwin Telemac got anything. And there's no evidence that I got anything. I shared the transactions that they found here on this program prior. So I think they were thoroughly embarrassed that after coming up with 29 allegations of corruption, not a single or scintilla of evidence has been provided, because there's none. So what they've done now is that they continue to collude, that is members of the UPP, to collude with the law firm in the U.S. to undermine. And more recently, there has been yet another case that was filed in Florida, in which they are claiming now that family members of mine got a commission indirectly through some third party. Another lie. Now, you would have heard the opposition members here promoting it. When the Alfred Nero story first broke, they said, I'm going to jail. I asked him, going to jail for what? I have never done anything illegal in my entire life up to this day. And that's why I feel comfortable to come here on a Saturday and to talk, you know. There's a gentleman who called and said, boy, the day at all you stop coming to Point FM is when I'm going to treat you with suspicion. And I can understand why. So they're embarrassed. That is nothing. Now, because of how hostile they've been, I assembled a team of attorneys to countersue for defamation. And a pre-action letter was sent out to the law firm in the U.S. advising them that they need to retract what they have said, failing which will be going to court. But instead of apologizing and settling, because I did ask them for a $10 million U.S. settlement, instead of agreeing to a settlement, they decided to double down and actually further defame me by literally stating that myself and family members benefited from some commission, well, part of the commission, which was totally untrue. So it now means that we have to go to court. In fact, my attorneys will be writing to them, refuting that second allegation and advising them that we'll be going to court and we'll be seeking exemplary damages. It's totally untrue. All this is designed to defame, to undermine, not only me, but the country, aided and abetted by members of the opposition. So you'd have heard Harold Lovell and others saying that the reason why this decision was taken to restrict the issuance of new visas is because of this situation with Alpha Nero. Now, first of all, I don't know that the U.S. could have used that as a reason, because they're the ones who gave us the permission to sell. So it defeats that argument.
Yes.
Now, this notion that DeLuca is one of President Trump's attorneys, that is true. So I will accept that he has President Trump's ears. But I don't know that President Trump, as someone who has had to sue various individuals for defaming him, will have an issue with Gaston Brown standing tall and suing a law firm for defaming me. So, as far as I'm concerned, I have to admit that I was given tangible information that information, or let's say the misinformation, disinformation, would have reached the White House. That much I do know. And I tell you why. So when the proclamation was issued to restrict the issuance of visas,
Class, I need you to be paying attention. Sip on your tea, have a pen and paper. I don't want what he just said there to fly over our head. What did the wily fella say again? The wily fella said Donald Trump investigate Gaston Brown. That's what the wily friend say. Wiley 7 said Donald Trump investigate Gaston, and Gaston we say, boy, why don't move, and 2 fingers and something about the bottom and something. That response showed that he hit a nerve. Wiley must have hit a nerve. Wiley hit the nerve like, you know, when you get one of them two taken like, respond. That was a quick response. He couldn't even hold that. He was, but like, what? To respond to what? Like, but I'm going to back up, class. The Prime Minister says that the White House, Donald Trump, White House, yes, and Prime Minister Gaston Brown, and Antigua and Barbuda, and the whole Alpha Nero and everything in a Donald Trump ears. What? And the guy, Gregory, was pulled aside and questioned and laptop taken and nothing to worry about, nothing to see over here. Visa restrictions cut off from the January 1st. And the guy again, I have to admit, yes, the guy is a lawyer to Prime Minister, to President Donald Trump. President Donald Trump and Julia Luktevetkola. Don't worry, nothing to see here. We are fine. Antigua is good. I am your Prime Minister and I have this handled. Remember, I am skillful. Remember, we got this. We can do this. And
committed to new visas, but it was a broader proclamation before it reached the White House. That much I do know. And I tell you why. So when the proclamation was issued to restrict the issuance of visas, it's now limited to new visas, but it was a broader proclamation before intervention. I was actually traveling, and I heard about it literally about 3 hours after the fact, because I was in the air when it was issued. So as soon as I landed, I checked my phone. I saw that we had a brain crisis, and I jumped on it immediately, and would have called Saran and asked him to go and see the State Department the following day to find out precisely what the issue is, and for us to negotiate.
Wait, class. Come stick a pin and pay attention again. We have a Minister of Foreign Affairs, don't we? And the Minister of Foreign Affairs is E.P. Chet Green, isn't he? And why didn't E.P. Chet Green, as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, jump on this situation immediately? Why did Prime Minister Gaston Brown, who's the Finance Minister, the Agriculture Minister, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Toilets, the Minister of National Housing, the Minister of Transport Board, the Minister of Air, Sea, Land, Port, Doors, Nails, ministers of cats and dogs and pussies, and the ministers of everything, nuts and bolts and testicles. He is the minister of all that. But why didn't the Minister of Foreign Affairs, E.P. Chet Green, handle the situation? All right.
Out of it, because I felt it was totally unjustifiable. And when I looked at a reason in particular stating that we had no residency, that was clearly not factual. I mean, we're the only program that had a residency program. Initially, was 35 days. We had to drop it to 5 days because of competitive pressures. It was effectively a week. And even subsequently, we had to drop our price from 200,000 down to 100,000 because all the other programs were 100,000, and we had difficulties getting anyone to take up our citizenship at the time. I think for a 60-day period, we did about 4 or 6 applications. That's how much it had fallen. In fact, I have been at the forefront of discussions and advocacy, dating back nearly 10 years now, asking my other colleagues for us to come together and to have a regional regulatory commission. I'm the one who would have also said to them, be careful about a race to the bottom. So we have provided leadership. When it comes to CIP, there has been no other prime minister, past or present, involved in CIP who has been more vocal and would have done more to encourage that type of engagement and for us to, have a regional authority to regulate the industry. So, as you know, the European Union and the North Americans, they express concerns, and we've been in negotiations with them for the last 18 months, and we have made significant progress. There's not a recommendation that has been made that we would not have adopted. In fact, Antigua and Barbuda has been at the forefront of implementing the recommendations. And I'll add here too that we were the first country in the OECS that went to Parliament and increased the residency from 5 days to 30 days.
Correct.
And to show how much we have been compliant. Even the issue with the Cuban nurses, we took the position that, look, though as far as we're concerned, we're not involved in any form of human trafficking, and that we would have put certain things in place to make sure that it doesn't happen, or if it has happened before, that it doesn't happen again. We took the position, you know what, we don't want to get in the crosshairs with the United States. So let us be proactive and get in additional nurses. So we went to Ghana and negotiated. This is probably about 60 days ago, or maybe 90 days ago, we started negotiations. To the extent within a matter of week and a half, we will have about 115 Ghanaian nurses coming to Antigua.
All right, class. Did you hear that too? That was 60 days ago too. Father. Oh, we have a prime minister who should be governing in the present, but he gives you information in the past, information of the past. Should I say that? Information of the past, information that cannot, that like he's giving you all news. Yeah, like his moustache, old and wrinkled up and Hitler-like, The news ain't relevant. The news is catastrophic and old. It cannot be verified, validated. We can't do anything about it. When he comes and tells us these things, we can't even protest. We can't consult. We can't have discussions over these things. We just have these 9 days social media talk, and then you live with the bullshit. Literally, you just live in all the mess. He's having diarrhea, and everybody just all up in that. Hello? Yuck. Yuck. That's not leadership. That's dictatorship. And we see what happens to dictators. Well, we are seeing, aren't we? What's happening to dictators. Yeah? Foolishness. And Donna Shire says she look up to him. Donna Shire says she look up to that for inspiration and how to handle your emotions. But yet still he tell Wiley 7, all Wiley say, while he tag Donald Trump and say, investigate Gaston Brown. Why you go upset for that for? Because now you're telling the people that you, Prime Minister Gaston Brown, and this whole thing all up in the White House and in a President Trump ears. Plus, the lawyer for Yulia Luklavich is President Donald Trump's lawyer. Ooh. I feel like I get in a burn stomach. No, it's not that at all. Maybe it's you. It's you. We can give you some Pepto-Bismol. We can give you Pepto-Bismol because you need it. You need it because it's going to burn, baby, burn.
Took that position that, look, the United States evidently is very hostile against the Cuban brigade. And we needed to at least manage that risk and to mitigate it. And the best way to mitigate it, just in case we have to get rid of all of the Cuban nurses and doctors suddenly, is to get in some professionals from Ghana.
So the world boss wisdom of managing these crises is to sever the relationship, years-long relationship with Cuba. Cuba, that is known for exceptional medical services. Like everybody go to Cuba to study. You want to be a doctor, go in Cuba. Nobody say I want to be a doctor, go in Ghana. I haven't heard that. I hear nobody say, oh, I want to be a doctor, I'm going to go and study in Ghana. I want to be a nurse, I'm going to go and study in Ghana. Everybody and then granny went to Cuba because Cuba have the thing well locked. Cuba is known for the highest level of medical care services. And the Prime Minister just severed that. Just like that. The Prime Minister knows the healthcare system is under pressure in Antigua and Barbuda already. Need plenty work. But to save himself, for saving neck from getting squeezed like that, he says sever that. Put my people at risk. When he signed that and he ended that agreement, put my people, the lives of my people in Antigua and Barbuda. Yes, I give you the agreement to sign it. Put my people's life at risk and bring in 115 Ghanaians. We don't have any factual verifications of the Ghanaians. We don't have any factual verifications with regards to their credibility and their skills, and especially when they're doing surgeries and their customer service and all these different. We don't have any of that. But he said, put 100,000 people's life at risk. There is more in the martle than the pestle. Come, somebody put a thing so I can say the thing right. The thing in my mouth is saying I don't even know if I'm saying it right. There is more in the matter. There is more in the matter.
Again, you can see full compliance. We have not done anything to justify any form of action against us. We have not even said anything hostile about the United States government. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I would have said, and I will repeat it again today because we can see the consequence of war, is that we indicated that any military action in this region will impact disproportionately on the smaller islands. And I would have said so in the interests of Antigua and Barbuda and the other Caribbean countries, recognizing how vulnerable we are, how tourism dependent we are, and that the fact that any curtailment of flights or any curtailment, for that matter, of trade could be extremely consequential. Now, as a leader, I have an obligation to speak truth and to stand up for this nation without fear or favor or without fear of consequences. And I do so with no malice. It would appear, though, that there are others who may have maybe deliberately misconstrued my statement as some kind of support for Maduro. It was support for the people of Antigua and Barbuda and the Caribbean as a whole. And I will say here too, based on what is happening in Venezuela, that I hope that there is no further escalation. If anything, we'd want to see a de-escalation. Mm-hmm. My understanding is that the current acting president, the former vice president, someone who I know personally, that they'll see that she's cooperating and that there doesn't seem to be any intent of the Venezuelan regime and its army retaliating.
That's not quite accurate because she said that she doesn't accept what Trump is saying. If we need to go and get that information and verify it, she's not accepting that. She says that President Maduro, Nicolas Maduro, is still the president of Venezuela. That's what she said. Plain and simple. She's not bending over. At least not yet. She ain't trying to save her bomb. At least not yet. So that's not accurate.
I'm not going to get involved in the justification of what happened in Venezuela. That's perhaps another time. And, we'll wait to see what happens when Maduro goes to court, maybe later next week. If it is that Maduro would have taken on certain risks and get involved in narco trafficking, well, he's on his own with that one. But insofar as war is concerned in this region, again, it is an issue that would have occupied my attention and others. There are others in the region who probably too afraid to say so for the fear of consequences. But what I was concerned about is whether or not the United States, President Trump and others in the Department of War, would consider the potential impact of any protracted war in this region on the small islands. Now, I took the position to write, so at least there's no oversight, and that they'll understand that at least one prime minister in this country is concerned about the potential impact in his country and other Caribbean countries. And I did so without malice. In my letter, I didn't accuse President Trump of acting in any particular way. All I said is that if the matter can be resolved through diplomacy and dialogue, I think that will be extremely helpful. And at least, we would not have to worry about the risk associated with military action.
Now let's add a point here, class, which I think is very important. I want us to take a pause or stick a pen in it. It is a fact, and it is a scary reality, should it manifest, that this situation in Venezuela escalates instead of de-escalate, like Prime Minister Gaston Brown just said. It is a direct impact on Antigua and Barbuda and all the Caribbean islands, as in all the Caribbean islands. Before this situation happened between Guyana and Venezuela, before the uprising between Nicolas Maduro, well, it's been going on for a number of years, it died down, and just maybe a year or two ago, before the uprising started again, between President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela and President Ifrin Ali of Guyana regarding Essequibo. Before that happened, there were Venezuelans who were crossing the border into Guyana. There have been quite a number of Venezuelans crossing the border into Guyana. Venezuelans have been in Guyana, and there have been an escalation with regards to violence between Venezuelans and the Guyanese. There are many reports regarding what's happening there. Now that President Nicolas Maduro was taken from Venezuela as the president, taken off the soil of Venezuela, and the vice president says that she stands to defend the country. She says that President Nicolas Maduro is still the president of the country. The objective of Nicolas Maduro going up against Guyana, his threat was to take Essequibo, Demerara, Essequibo, and Berbice. That's Guyana, with regards to the map. And the area where Essequibo is, there's a shoreline, or the sea line, where Nicolas Maduro says that Venezuela owns that. Since the elections in Guyana last year, and since all this uprising has been happening in Guyana, between Guyana and Venezuela, there are hundreds, I'd have to verify my number, of thousands of Venezuelans going to Guyana, in like flooding Guyana at the moment. So let me bring it back home to Antigua and Barbuda, and there are many aspects of this for us to consider. The Prime Minister said that he signed the agreement and he's accepting 10 refugees. There's nowhere for documentation to verify that. The Prime Minister has not released anything for the people of Antigua and Barbuda to see. No details. There are certain aspects in my research. They said that there's certain aspects of this particular agreement that would not be made public. Like for the Rwanda agreement, if I can go to that, there are aspects of the Rwanda agreement. And again, Rwanda accepting refugees. That agreement did not state how much money was paid to Rwanda and what the full agreement, as in stipulation item by item, states. But it said that they would receive a grant fund. That's for Rwanda. There's an agreement where on the 14th of August, 2025, Paraguay accepted the agreement, signed it and accepted with the United States to accept refugees. Panama has signed on to this also. And there's a country as Eswatini. I need to verify on that. It is saying that they give some money. What is Antigua and Barbuda? What did we bargain? Because would you be convinced that Prime Minister Gaston Brown negotiated a good deal? Because first of all, off the jump, accepting refugees in no shape or form can be a good deal. In no shape or form. Cannot be a good deal. So it is important for us to ask for that document, ask to see what the agreement stipulates, because it directly affects our medical care system, the housing system, the living conditions in Antigua and Barbuda, every aspect, safety and security. Now, Antiguans and Barbudans, there are some individuals that had this and might still have this yuck about our Caribbean brothers and sisters. And there are quite a few of them, have a yuck, like to say, you ban what, you bang water, come here. I've heard it many times. They cuss me and tell me go back where I come from, yada, 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 oh, yeah, whatever. Now, the refugees that are coming, they can come from anywhere. Somalia, Sierra Leone, Gambia, Senegal, Sudan. Help me. Anywhere. And these are refugees that their country don't want them. But the American agreement basically states that they're trying to clean up their borders and remove asylum seekers and those who have been hiding in the immigration system. Yes, here's my article. It's right here. There's an MOU for Panama where it's saying that Panama is receiving what, 14 million? It says here as an agreement. That's some of the agreement there. 14 million. Yep. I'm trying to pull it up here. Come on. Let's go. Guys, we're running down our program this morning. I trust that I was able to bring you, Colombia too. I trust that I was able to bring you a compact program of some good sipping, on wisdom, knowledge and understanding. Can I tell you guys, I've started to drink black coffee. I said I'm going to have some black coffee. Been doing my research. So I'm going to hold off on the milk because I drink a lot of coffee. And every time I drink the coffee, I have to put milk in the coffee. I don't know. So I have black coffee. And the reason why I'm doing this, I went to my uncle's house, my uncle and my aunt on the 1st of January. And then I was having like a chest pain and something. My uncle said, would you like some tea? And I said, of course. And then my uncle went to make me some tea. He said, would you like some black coffee? It's better you drink black coffee. And then I like the coffee. And then boom, here I am drinking black coffee. But yes, I want to find my little country of Antigua. Now we got to do something. Remember the scripture. What we going to do? We got to let Prime Minister Gaston Brown go. We got to let Prime Minister Gaston Brown go. Like, he got to go. And he can go by resigning, or he can go with a full display, like celebrities, social media, pictures, news articles plastered everywhere. He can choose.
The case in point here, half an hour of military action in Venezuela has resulted now in a number of cancellation of flights. Luckily for us, we don't have that many. I think we have probably about 6 flights that have been canceled. But 6 flights, in a small island state, with a few 100,000 tourists.
Still significant.
It's significant.
Significant.
And then if it's protracted, and that is why we're hoping that there's no escalation and that, this thing will just be resolved. And I don't know who is going to say now that because I continue to ask a peace that I'm defending Maduro. Because Maduro is in custody now or maybe on his way to the United States. I'm defending Antigua and Barbuda and the Caribbean as a whole by stating here that having this region as a zone of peace, it protects all of us. And to understand, too, that with war, there are unintended consequences, but they impact disproportionately on the smaller, vulnerable islands within the region.
Correct.
Unlike Trinidad and Tobago, that has probably about $6 billion in reserves. We don't have no reserves. If perchance we have weeks or months of military conflict in this region, and the boats stop coming to this country, the planes stop coming to this country, what do you think will happen to us? We can't even feed ourselves. We're one of the most food insecure countries in the world. And we better do something about that now.
Wait, class. We're gonna wrap up on this. I want to play back what the Prime Minister of the country said. This man has been the Prime Minister since 2014. Prime Minister Gaston Brown, you have been the Prime Minister since 2014. Boss, we're in 2026. Prime Minister Gaston Brown, dude, we're in 2026. And you said what? You said what again? About food security and what again? And you've been focused on selling the passports? You've been like focused on like your focus, your main zone, precise, laser focus was what? Passports, not food security. And you've been saying for years, and you're the Prime Minister and the they, thank you, Pian, the they, he love a they. Huh? Did they? Not him? No, man. We have to wrap up on this. Let's wrap up on this.
Antiguans and Barbudans, y'all better listen. And that's not the United States problem. That is our problem that we need to fix. And those who want to say government is government fault, government no grow crops. It's private individuals. We need more farmers. We need more investment in farming. Let us look at it too. That with war, there are unintended consequences, but they impact disproportionately on the smaller, vulnerable islands within the region.
Correct.
Unlike Trinidad and Tobago, that has probably about $6 billion in reserves. We don't have no reserves. If perchance we have weeks or months of military conflict in this region, and the boats stop coming to this country, the planes stop coming to this country, what do you think will happen to us? We can't even feed ourselves. We're one of the most food insecure countries in the world. And we better do something.
You hear that? You hear your Prime Minister say? Prime Minister Gaston Brown, the Prime Minister of the economic powerhouse. The Prime Minister, the Gassy Dread, never bow. Gassy Dread. The dread. The dread. Just say. What did Dread just say? Should I play it back? Let me listen to the Dread again. Come. Listen to the Dread.
About that for years.
True.
Antiguans and Barbudans, y'all better listen. And Barbuda and the Caribbean as a whole, by stating here that having this region as a zone of peace, it protects all of us. And to understand too that with war, there are unintended consequences, but they impact disproportionately on the smaller, vulnerable islands within the region.
Correct.
Unlike Trinidad and Tobago, that has probably about $6 billion in reserves. We don't have no reserves. If perchance we have weeks or months of military conflict in this region, and the boats stop coming to this country, the planes stop coming to this country, what do you think will happen to us? We can't even feed ourselves. We're one of the most food insecure countries in the world.
Come on, class, type that statement. We can't even feed ourselves. We are one of the most. Come on, class. Come on. Let's type it. As we're wrapping up, type it. Class, I want you to type it.
And Barbuda and the Caribbean as a whole.
Listen, class. For today's assignment, your follow-up is to go on your Facebook page. And we're going to repeat. I want you to type the exact statement that Prime Minister Gaston Brown says, and I want you to put his name next to it. This is his quote from January 3rd, 2026 on his Brown on Brown show. Class, you're going to get to move up. You're going to get points. You're going to be graded. I need to see the statement exactly as he says it. And then you just put Prime Minister Gaston Brown. That. And listen, in the world. Don't forget that part when you're doing it now. He didn't say in the Caribbean. Thank you, James. In the world. but he is the world boss. And Antigua and Barbuda is an economic powerhouse under his administration.
This region as a zone of peace. It protects all of us. And to understand too that with war, there are unintended consequences, but they impact disproportionately on the smaller vulnerable islands within the region.
Correct.
Unlike Trinidad and Tobago that has probably about $6 billion in reserves, we don't have no reserves. If perchance we have weeks or months of military conflict in this region, and the boats stop coming to this country, the planes stop coming to this country, what do you think will happen to us? We can't even feed ourselves.
Make a note of it. Come on, write it. He says we can't even feed ourselves. Come on, full stop on that one, class. You got it? What is called this dictation? It's when last with some dictation. Tell me if you got that first part. You want to quote him right. See, he just said, let's go. We can't even feed ourselves. You got that part? All right, let's go again.
We're one of the most food insecure.
Hold on. We are one of the most insecure food. Hold on. We are one of the most. Class, y'all writing with me? You better be writing now.
Countries in the world.
Come on, let me go back. Let's go. We can go back a little bit. Let's go.
It protects all of us. And to understand too that with war, there are unintended consequences, but they impact disproportionately on the smaller vulnerable islands within the region.
Correct.
Unlike Trinidad and Tobago that has probably about $6 billion in reserves, we don't have no reserves. If perchance we have weeks or months of military conflict in this region, and the boats stop coming to this country, the planes stop coming to this country, what do you think will happen to us? We can't even feed ourselves. We're one of the most food insecure countries in the world.
You got it? We are one of the most food insecure countries in the world. He didn't say Caribbean. Yes, class? Are you there? He didn't say Caribbean. He said in the world. Plus, he said we don't have a reserve. Yes, he says we can't even feed ourselves. We are one of the most food insecure countries in the world. Prime Minister Gaston Brown, aka World Boss, aka Gussie Dread, aka the Prime Minister of the economic powerhouse. Well, friend, there's blackout. There is power outage. Electricity has been out since he has been in. I can't think of it. That one just came to me. Hey, electricity has been off. Yeah? From 2014 to 2025. We've been living in the dark ages. We've been living in darkness. This powerhouse don't have no power. The house don't really have no proper foundation. Dilapidated. Holes all the way through. Floors falling in. You have to use outside toilet. I'm talking because I come all the way from there. Real dilapidation, like real poverty. This powerhouse is a nut. Not so powerful, not so much a house, not really protecting shelter, providing shelter, not providing the warmth, no food, no medical care, lack of everything. And then you just bring in 900 Africans, and then you were duped 3 times. You just take a woman boat and you just sell it, you take it, you do whatever. You say you're the government. We don't know what you do with the money. You say it's 40 million, we didn't see it. She say money missing. She say money missing, and she not let go of the money. The girl just not let go of the money. That is one woman, Prime Minister Gaston, when you can post your foot and say how your foot look. I don't even know if the woman fat. You can post a picture about that too, but none of that matter, because this one woman have for you 2 knees go on. So you pick up your cup of coffee in the morning and you're like this. I ain't scared. Scared of who? But you signing agreements left, right, and center, selling out your soul, selling out the country, selling out everybody. Bring the deportees and give you the visa. Huh? First, we used to sell the passport because we have access to the visa. That used to be the big money, the big thing. But now, to keep the access to some extent, what are we going to do? Bring the deportees. Bring them from anywhere. And the man have no weight. His words have no weight. I don't know about the nuts, but the words don't have no weight. Yeah? It don't drop. It don't solid. It don't, all you hear is a poof. So he cannot dictate to the United States how many refugees he's going to accept in Antigua and Barbuda. He might get 50. He might get 500. He might get 1,000 of them. He might get 5,000 of them. He will take whatever he can take, how much ever they want to give to him. President Donald Trump has already displayed he's not at a space where he wants to negotiate. He's not at a space where he's so considerate on one's feelings and one's country and one's sovereignty and policies of democracies and all that. President Trump said all of that is horse shit. Literally. Organize the troops, swoop in and take Maduro, that is the head. When I take the head, everybody else start tremble and will fall into place. And when I do that, take what you get. You see, especially if you're not spotless, you see, if you have a couple of dots, a couple of question marks around your name, around certain things, around your leadership, around all kind of around and around, I'm going to pressure you. Pressure, bust pipe, bear flooding. And I don't think holy water in them pipes. We know what's in the pipes because he spew it every time on social media. Blech, blech. We know what's in the pipes. Pressure. Gonna bust them pipes. What is Nikki talking about? If you haven't been coming and following the class and joining the class, you need to start coming more often. Every Monday and Wednesday from 7:30 a.m. Caribbean time, 11:30 a.m. UK time. I got to wrap up our program now. I want to thank you very much. I didn't check to see if you guys bought me any coffees or stars or sent me a PayPal. It's January 5. This is an independent platform. I look forward to your support in every way that you can give it. We're going to be back here on Wednesday again. I have to do a part 2 on this because there's still many things I haven't been able to share and put in certain aspects to bring information. I've sent a few a few emails out because I want to get some follow-up on stuff. This is what we are going to be focusing on for 2026 for the next couple of weeks. You know, we have to dig into this visa restriction. We have to dig into this indictment for President Maduro. We have to dig into what's going on with Gregory Georges and the WEOC. What about the Petro-Carib? You know, we have to see the political strains. We have to see the strains that's going to be on people of Antigua and Barbuda. This is serious. This is serious. And this is not the opposition's fault. This is not the opposition's fault. Nowhere we see in Jamal Pringle name. Nowhere are we seeing Harold Lovell name. Nowhere are we seeing any of these ministers, but this one line that Prime Minister used for so many years is old and tired. UPP, the UPP acolytes, and the UPP propagandists, and the UPP this and the UPP that and the UPP. Boy, you peep on yourself. You peep all over yourself right now on January 5, 2026. Look up here. Look up here. I'm just saying. He pee on himself. He didn't expect to pee on himself, but look at him with pee all over. Look at you and your pee. Eh? Yeah, pee. Tell me which other prime minister in the Caribbean region, I could name a few, but tell me which other prime minister name in the ears and have the attention and the eyes of Donald J. Trump and the White House. Who? Come on now. We are friends of all and enemies of none. But boy, you pee on yourself. I'm just saying. There's one article I want to read as I wrap up, and I'm going to read. I think I will give you as much information as I can regarding the refugee acceptance signed, and if I haven't, send me any message that you might need to get some more information, and I will follow up and post more videos and keep us informed and keep this thing going and keep this platform alive. Your support offers this space or makes this space possible that I can do, whether I'm using my StreamYard or I need to do some outside broadcasts or I need to pay certain services like my Chat GPT. I don't use the free version. The free version give you you don't get substance out of that. We got to do real work. I do my Chat GPT and I have my sorrow. I'm learning all these different things. I'm just saying because we have to do it. But it is a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here, the 5th of January, to be in the land of the living, to be able to be of my right mind, to be able to have this passion and this focus to do what we're doing here. I want to join you. I want to invite you. I want to admonish you. That's the word. Get your butt every day, every Monday and Wednesday in this class. I should be saying it nice, but no, get your ass in class every Monday and Wednesday from 7:30 a.m. Caribbean time. 11:30 UK time. It's important, man. We're building something. We have been building something here for many, many years, and I thank the Most High God for it. And this year is just the year of the flourishing, the year of the fruitfulness from this fertile ground. And I thank every single individual for every single support, watching the live, sharing the comments, trusting me to bring the facts, and trusting my platform to stand on integrity and transparency and all of that. I thank you sincerely for all love. Enjoy your Monday, enjoy your week. And again, remember, we got to become self-sufficient. Even your prime minister says that. You hear your prime minister say? Let's quote him. We can't even feed ourselves. We are one of the most food insecure countries in the world. Now, what can go, sir? Love you guys. Catch you Wednesday. And tag a few people, man. People are saying they're not getting a notification. Tag people like crazy. Tag all them ABLP people too. I'm just saying. And tag Anthony Smith and tell him stay out of Nikki Phoenix WhatsApp and come on the platform if he wants an interview. Later, guys. Have a good day. Love. I love you guys. Love you, Sharon. Love you, Pian, Safi, James. I love you guys. Sharon, Sherilyn, Monique. I'm seeing everybody. Nene. Ashisha Nene. Oh, Shanene. There's a song or something like that, but Nene and Shanene. Tamale. Hello, sweetie. How are you guys doing? Thank you. Tricia, thank you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Anybody who's missing, Genevieve, you guys have to tag people when you come on the live. Thea Moore, or the more you hate. Oh, the more you hate me, the more I'm blessed. I like that. Hey, welcome again. Good morning, guys. I gotta run. Much love. I see your comments. Kimberly, hey, what's up? Sharon, what's up, girl? And I like Sharon Legs Edwards. I wonder if Sharon have legs. I keep seeing his Facebook like Sharon have legs. Like Tina Turner legs. Like, oh, it's the body. Tina Turner did insure her legs, Sharon. So you gotta know, you got some legs, Sharon. You got some legs, Sharon. Janice, how you doing? I see Janice has been making some really good comments. And yes, he didn't say it without stuttering, Janice. He did not say it without stuttering. Troy says, try adding black pepper to my coffee. Troy, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that for sure. See how we go. Nicole, sweetie, I was showing the thing. I saw your comments and so on. I didn't even get to give you. Nicole, I love you. Giving you kisses. Tika. Love you, girl. Let me see. Who else? Come on. Petition King. Love you, girl. Celia. Love you, girl. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the love. All right. I got to go. Got to go. Wednesday. Same time, 7:30 in the morning, 11:30 UK time, right here. Share the live, tag a few people, come and buy some coffee, support the work, support the thing, and just stay blessed. Stay prayed up. Very, very important. All right. Love you guys very much. Let's just offer a word of quick word of prayer. I gotta say, I posted a video of Spice praying, and Spice touched my soul when she was praying. So I just had to move by the Spirit and share it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Mighty God, we thank you. We thank you, God, that you've taken us through this program today, the first program on this platform, Free Press 268, for January 2026. And we thank you, God, that you can give us wisdom, knowledge, understanding, revelation. We thank you, God, that you would give us an opportunity to be able to communicate together, to have good, healthy discussions. Thank you, God, that we have already built this space and we will continue to enlarge our territory, where we'll continue to be fruitful in the lives of people, the things that we speak, the information that we bring, God. We will stand and we'll speak your word. We'll stand, oh God, and be confident in everything that you've called us to do. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this Monday sip on January 5, 2026. And thank you for many more Monday sips and Wednesday sips and all the sips that we can get and share and just uplift the lives of people. It's a very trying time ahead, God, but we can only trust totally and completely on you. We trust God and not man. We trust God and not man. People say to me, I trust God and not man. And with that, God, we know that our life and our livelihood and everything that concerns us is secured in your hands. So we give you praise and thanks and honor and glory. This is our prayer in the name of the Most High God, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. Gotta love you guys. I gotta go. I see some more comments. Who's saying what? Thank you. Oh, thank you guys. Stay blessed. Love, love, love. Oh, Sharon says I do have legs. Oh, and then Katisha says more like you backslide in class. I backslide. Hey. Blessings, guys. Amen, James. Blessings, my love. Blessings, 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 blessings. God we trust, not man. In God we trust, not man. Later, babies. Later, class. Be good until next time.